In the early 1990s, the music industry was searching for the next global female pop phenomenon. Record labels were aggressively scouting artists with the right blend of appearance, charisma, stage presence, and crossover appeal. Among the candidates, Deborah Blando stood out. With her international background, born in Italy, raised in Brazil, and her fluency in multiple languages, she was positioned as a serious contender to become a global pop icon. Major executives believed she could be the next Madonna. The machinery was set in motion, but it didn't unfold as planned. Deborah signed with Virgin Records, the same label behind megastars like Janet Jackson and the Rolling Stones. Her debut international album, A Different Story, was released in 1991, fully sung in English, with polished production, high-budget visuals, and international distribution. The album's lead single, Innocence, was a calculated hit. It was serviced to radio stations worldwide and received heavy rotation on MTV Europe and Latin American outlets. The song performed well, charting in over 15 countries and receiving endorsements from major media platforms. At a time when few Brazilian artists broke into international English-language markets, Blando was ahead of the curve. Touring across Europe and appearing on global TV programs, Deborah had all the elements in place. Her image was marketable, her voice was strong, and the label's push was significant. Yet, despite the early momentum, her second international single failed to gain the same traction. Internal label shifts, changing priorities, and the relentless pace of the early 90s pop industry made her vulnerable to being sidelined. Virgin, like many large labels, moved fast, and if results weren't immediate and exponential, artists were deprioritized. Compounding the challenges was a deeper, personal struggle. Unknown to most at the time, Deborah was beginning to show symptoms of bipolar disorder. The constant travel, public scrutiny, and demand for polished performance took a toll. Mental health was not a topic that artists, or labels, openly discussed or addressed during this era. Instead of being supported, she was expected to continue performing at full capacity while managing a growing internal battle. As pressure increased and support waned, the industry's faith in her commercial viability declined. By the mid-1990s, the international push stalled. Her second album for the global market was shelved. Deborah returned to Brazil and began recording in Portuguese. Her 1997 album Unicamente re-established her on national charts, particularly through strong placement in popular telenovela soundtracks. But by then, the comparison to Madonna had faded. The industry had moved on to newer acts. While she found success at home, the dream of becoming a global pop phenomenon had effectively ended. Deborah Blando's story reveals the volatile nature of the music industry, especially for artists positioned as major international acts without the infrastructure or protection required for sustainable careers. Her early work showed commercial promise, and her image fit the mold of what global audiences expected from pop stars of that era. But industry impatience, mental health challenges, and shifting market dynamics ultimately derailed the trajectory. She could have been the next Madonna, not because of imitation, but because of her raw potential, cross-market appeal, and professional backing. But success in pop music is not just about talent or opportunity. It's about timing, endurance, and the ability to navigate an industry with little room for missteps. Deborah Blando had the momentum and global platform that most artists never reach. But even with all that in place, it wasn't enough. Her legacy, in retrospect, is not just about what could have been, but about how the industry often fails artists it claims to champion. She was poised for global domination, and then quietly disappeared from that stage. The story of her rise and fall is not just one of talent, but of an industry machine that moves fast, forgets quickly, and rarely looks back.